Hey, Ron. Hi, Aaron. Those cameras work great.
I'm so glad.
Can you hear? Say it again.
I said I'm so glad.
Yeah, don't they look good? They camera really good.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Schenectady City Council Committee meeting for Monday, April the 5th, 2021 to order, and we'll go into government operation. Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mudavarian. I'd like to call to order government operations. We have 3 items on the agenda. The first item is the stockade flood mitigation and naming the city of Schenectady as lead agency for the seeker. Ms. Diop?
Good afternoon, everyone. So this is a request to for the City Council to declare the intent to act as lead agency for the seeker review in regard to the flood mitigation project in the Stockade Historic District. So this is a project that the city's been working on for a couple of years now, and the preferred solution that was analyzed and being proposed is the relocation of structures on Ingersoll Avenue, which is the street that is the most vulnerable to flooding in the district. The intent is to relocate those structures to the parcel that is on higher ground, that is currently the city-owned lot that we are requesting the alienation for. I want to point out that this is really just the first step in the process. Once the seeker review is done, then it will need to kind of go to the state legislature, and the intent is to really get ahead of the timeline with this, because parkland alienation is really something that takes a long time. We're trying to get it done within this legislative cycle with the state, which ends in June. And that's basically where we are at this point. So the request is again to declare City Council as the lead agency for the seeker review and the call for the public hearing.
Are there any questions? Okay, so Ms. Diop, I just want to clarify, you're also calling for the public hearing with this as well?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. And I know that last week there was the Zoom meeting that kind of explained this and went through all of it. And so it was very informative, and I'm glad that I was able to attend. And is that available for other council members? I don't know how, I couldn't tell who was on except who was speaking. So is that available for everyone to look at?
Yeah, we did record it, and it should be up on the website this week. So once it's there, I can send it out to everyone.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Comments? Okay.
I move this.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Diat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next item on our agenda is the lease for the Economic Center, SEEC. Mr. Gardner and Mr. Commodore. I don't know who wants to go first.
I'll chime in first and then hand it off to Mr. Gardner. This is Mr. Commodore. Before the council tonight is entering into the lease for 140 Erie Boulevard, Suite B, to be the use space for the SEEC. This matter and this plan has been before this committee and before the council previously, and most recently it was before the council with regard to certain funding for $100,000 for this project. At this point in time, the bulk of the remaining funding has been secured, and the city is ready to, has negotiated, is ready to enter into a lease for the space. So we're back before the committee to approve entering into the lease and the allocation and spending related to it and to the program generally.
Right. Mr. Gardner, do you have anything? Okay, Mr. Mudavaren?
Yes, just a question from Mr. Commodore. You said that the funding is secure. Did we secure, you said the funding is secure, so I'm going to ask this question with regards to the $100,000 from the local foundation. Did you have an approval from this foundation for the $100,000 funding?
I will have to defer to Mr. Gardner regarding the details of the additional funding. Mr. Gardner?
I think he might be having.
Mr. Gardner, are you there?
I
don't see him.
He's on, but having a
His
echo.
audio, so.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Mr. Gardner, are you there?
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
So in terms of that, I mean, that is my only concern with this here is that do we have the commitment letter from these local foundation in terms of funding the $100,000 for this program?
Well, let me just add that we did actually, Mr. Mudavaren, speak to Mr. Gardner today, and obviously we can't hear what he has to say, but he said he did have assurances from, he gave the name, one was Chad and the other one was the Schenectady Foundation. I don't remember. I think those were the only two that they were moving ahead and were supporting this. So if that's correct, Mr. Gardner, you can nod your head yes, or put up a sign that says yes. But we can't hear you, so that I just filling in from our discussion today. Are there any questions or?
I'm sorry. I was just going to recommend that perhaps Mr. Gardner can email a message to the committee members or to the council as a whole with regard to that specific question.
That's a good suggestion. Are there other questions? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it contingent upon that email with regards to the funding from the local foundations.
Okay. So can I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. So
Aye.
contingent upon getting that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Commodore and Mr. Gardner. And finally, under government operations is a ceremonial resolution for Arbor Day. I received an email from Retreat Schenectady that would like to have, even though we're not meeting in person, they would like to have a resolution. So it's something that we do generally yearly. And so still going to have Arbor Day, just won't be able to do to do the ceremony, the resolution in person. However, they will be doing some tree planting, working along with the city and the county. So, any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, if there's nothing else to come before government operations, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
I'll move to open the Health and Recreation Committee. The first item on the agenda is a ceremonial resolution about National Library Week, which is April 4th through 10th. I'd like to bring that resolution forward for next week to honor the work that our public librarians do for the city and for the county as a whole. Could I get a motion for that, please?
Move it.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a discussion of the Rose Garden permit fees. Mr. Commodore.
I'm actually going to take this one, Ms. Patrick.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So before the committee tonight, the Health and Recreation Committee, is a legislative request to update the permit fee for professional photographers from $75 per day to $75 per season. Obviously, there was some lengthy discussion way back when in discussing this. The resolution that passed obviously was set at $75 per day. And as I mentioned, we would like to update that to $75 per season. Thank you.
Muted. Is there any discussion on that? Any questions from any of my colleagues?
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, I think we need to pass this before the roses start to be in bloom. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is talking about the Orchard Park improvements. And Ms. Gallagher, are you there? Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Louder.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, great. So we had a bid opening for the Orchard Park improvements. This was a bid to do the installation of the playground equipment for the new park that they're renovating up on Crane Street. So we had a bid opening, we published a bid, we had a bid opening on March 10th. We received 3 bids. The lowest responsible and responsive bidder was Newcastle Paving with a bid of $334,967.97. So we're just asking for the council to pass a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Newcastle Paving.
Okay, I saw that there was another email that came to us right before this meeting. The number that you just quoted to us, is that the revised bid?
Correct, that was from the rebid. The original paperwork that I sent out was from the original bid, and all those bids were rejected and we rebid the whole project.
Okay, could you just repeat that final price for me again, please?
Sure, it's $334,967.97.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues?
Yes, Ms. Patrick.
Okay, Mr. Mudavaren.
Yeah, so looking at the resolution that is, we're asking for $357,180.41. But looking at the bid tabulation here, $334,967.91.
You may be looking at the
Which one?
original legislative request that I sent over, which had the numbers from the original bid in them. The 334,000 number is the correct number from the rebid.
That's what we were just discussing, John? Mr. Mudavaren?
Yeah, so the email that we just received,
is this new
The
bid?
resolution?
The email you just got is the correct bid tabulation for the second bidding. So somebody should, as Mr. Mudaviran is pointing out, that number was carried from the first set of bids, and somebody should move to amend it to reflect the 334,967.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you. Yeah. So we need to, so the resolution that is before us is 357. So we need to amend it to 334,967.91.
0.97.
No, 91.
It was 0.97.
Okay, so then we need to correct the
No.
bid tabulation.
Oh,
also
no,
then.
I'm sorry. No,
It's
you're
91.
correct. I'm
It's
sorry.
91.
91.
Yeah. So that's the only observation I have. So we just need to amend the resolution to reflect the number from the bid tabulation.
And it's also Newcastle Paving is the contractor that has that award, or put in that bid, and we're looking to give the award to.
So John, can you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mudaviran, do you have the resolution there on your?
Yes, I do. So the resolution is there. All right. No, I can pull it up. Just a minute, please.
Okay, thanks.
And we'll
Sorry.
just have to amend. Oh. But here is a revised resolution
Mhm.
that came in. So it should be 91 and not 97
Correct.
340,
to match the bid tabulation.
334, 967, 91.
Correct.
All right. So
Okay.
just a small change.
Yep.
I'll move this. If there's no other question, I'll move this.
Okay.
Second it.
Okay, okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that one passed. And so the next, thank you very much, Ms. Gallagher.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Okay, next on the agenda is Mr. Wallen to talk about the Vale Park Landscaping Improvement Project.
Ms. Patrick, I'm going to be Mr. Wallen tonight.
Wow, you have so many hats.
I
Mr.
know, how about it?
Wallen.
City engineer tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So before the committee tonight is authorization for the city to act as lead agency and issue a negative declaration for the Vale Park Landscaping Improvement Project. The city is looking to provide some landscape improvements to the historic Vale Park using grant funding from DASNY. We've received responses from interested and involved agencies for the city to act as lead agent. And for any of those interested and involved agencies to raise any objections to the city acting as lead agency for the project. Having received none and classifying this project as an unlisted action, the city is now looking to get authority from the city council for the city to act as lead agency and issue a negative declaration for the project.
Any questions from anyone?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Motion
thank
to-
you. May I have
To adjourn.
oh, thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you very much. Moving on.
Thank you. Call to order public safety. First item is a discussion amending Chapter 93 of the Code of the City of Schenectady. And we had a public hearing 2 Mondays ago on this item, and I will hand this over to Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. As Mr. Mudaviran said, we did have a public hearing. The last time the council discussed this, I believe we were all in agreement with the changes that were made. So I know that there were some additional recommendations that were made through the public hearing. However, this has been very challenging for us to get to this point. And unless we, we could take up those discussions if council members feel that we want to move forward. However, to do that, however, what I'd like to do at this point is move forward with the changes that we've made. And we can continue in the future to look at the recommendations from the public hearing. I think most of them were things that were covered with what we talked about, with the exception of the redaction. So at this point in time, I'm just suggesting that we adopt the amendments that were made by the council.
Any other questions? Comments?
Councilmember Porterfield, does Mr. Colden actually have those changes?
Yes, he does.
Yes, I do. I do, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Porterfield.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion or comments? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next item is the appointment to the Civilian Police Review Board. Mayor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a vacancy for representative from Schenectady Inner City Ministry. They had submitted a name, and so I have forwarded to you the letter, which I believe all of you have, and would ask for your favorable consideration. And Ms. Carter's resume is attached to that, or should have been attached to it, so everybody, I think a lot of people are familiar with her, but if not, her resume is attached.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? May I have a motion?
I'd just like to say I don't have any questions, but as the mayor said, Ms. Carter has worked in the community for a long time, is very familiar with that. So I think that she will be, and she's also worked with Schenectady Community Ministries for a very long time. So I think that she will be a good addition to the Civilian Police Review Board, and I would move it.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next item is discussion dirt bikes and ATVs. Ms. Karen Zaleski, Wilsoness.
Thank you, Mr. Mudavaren. This has been an ongoing problem, and I believe that we're putting together a task force. I want to kind of bring everyone up to speed with this. I've had discussions with the mayor, and I've had discussions with the sheriff and the chief of police, and we're going to work hopefully in conjunction with all of the necessary agencies so that we can combat this. What I would like to do is increase the fees so that when we do end up confiscating a dirt bike or ATV, that there's additional fees that will be added on, very similar to what they've done in Albany. And I was just looking for my colleagues to see what their thoughts are and feedback. And I believe the mayor's in support of this. And I know the chief and the sheriff were also in support of that. So I was just opening it up to, we haven't come up with any specifics yet on that, but I plan on coming back in a couple of weeks with some very specifics around what the fees would be, confiscating it, and then actually storing them and charging them storage per day.
Ms. Zaleski, so can you do up a draft of what your proposal is?
Yeah.
And
Yes,
if you can share with the council before our next committee meeting?
Yes, I can have that before our next committee meeting.
Okay, so what we'll do, I will have this back on the agenda, and we'll start a discussion based on your draft proposal.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Mr. Chairman. And,
Go ahead, please,
Councilor,
Mr. Mayor.
I just throw out for your consideration a seasonal factor. Clearly the problems with dirt bikes, motorcycles, ATVs. Occasionally in the winter months, we get snowmobiles, and it might be worth the council considering just to put a reference to a snowmobile in there so that we'd be able to enforce that in the winter months. I don't know if Chief Clifford has any opinion on that.
Chief Clifford, you're on. Would you like to add anything to that?
No, I think it's a good idea. I don't have anything more to add to that. Certainly, if any individual was riding a snowmobile in the winter, we'd want to be able to enforce that also.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add that in. Thank you.
The problem is nowhere near the magnitude of that's an occasional occurrence. And it's, the dirt bikes and ATVs, motorcycles that are unregistered are the big issue. And, I thank you, Karen, for bringing it up and appreciate the council's consideration to give the police department a little bit more leverage to deal with it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mudavaren?
Thank you. So we'll have that back. We'll have the draft and have it back on the agenda in 2 weeks. Thank you. Is there anything else for public safety? May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'll call to order the Finance Committee.
Mr. Palomini, Chair Palomini, can I have the floor for a moment?
You have the floor.
I just want to publicly state that I'm objecting to being removed from the Finance Committee. Corporation Counsel Andrew Colden has given an opinion that states that President Mudavaren does not have the authority to remove a properly seated member of the committee. I would like the minutes of this meeting to state that I'm objecting to being removed from the Finance Committee. So thank you, Chair Palomini.
I will ask that the clerk please note that in the minutes, and we'll concur with that objection. How we will proceed on the advice of council is we will continue with the changed committee structure, but I will also ask for the vote of the objective of Miss. I will start again. I will ask for the vote of Ms. Saluski-Wazunas under objection. That way, should this and when this goes to court, that will be in the record. So no, none of the items up for agenda might be harmed. So that will be in the records as well. So we will take up the first item is the 2021 budget for Ari.
Hey, good afternoon, Council President, rest of the council. I was wondering if I can just switch this order around. Can I make number 3, number 1, and number 1, number 3, if you don't mind?
That's fine. Please proceed.
I'd like to start with the permanent bond anticipation notes.
Yep,
Can I
go
start with
ahead.
that first?
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Ferrari.
Okay. Okay, what do we, okay. Well, I want to start with the permanent bonding, the anticipation notes. Currently outstanding, we have the 2018 and 2019 bond anticipation notes totaling $17,350,010. And we're looking to permanently fund them through the bonding process. We talked to our advisors, our fiscal advisors and our bond counsel, and it was determined that it would be in our best interest to take advantage of these very low interest rates right now to permanently finance these 2 years. for the total of $17,350,010. I believe the package was sent to you. This is actually the number 3 on the agenda, if you take a look. And I believe this would be the best thing for the city's option to do that.
Are there any questions for Mr. Ferrari? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Okay.
opposed?
So let me just be clear on how this is supposed to work. So should I not vote on this, Mr. Colden? Tell me how this works.
I would advise that you do vote, Ms. Porterfield. As noted by Mr. Palomini, Ms. Zaluski-Walzunas is voting under her objection. We're proceeding as the committee has been reconstituted. So I'm asking that you do please vote, and Ms. Zaluski-Walzunas, as noted, is voting under objection in the event there are subsequent proceedings related to the restructuring of the committee. Does that make sense?
Yes, my vote is aye.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank you.
the motion passes. Do you want to continue with number 2 or move to
Correct.
number 1?
Now we're going to go to number 2.
Okay,
Number 2 is, the 2020 adopted city budget contained various capital projects, general water, sewer, and fund and golf, totaling about 26 million. But the city, we have determined that only $7,355,606 are needed to follow through on our general fund capital projects. The anticipated cost of issuance, as I put in the bond, would be $91,945. So the cost to totally fund this ordinance would be $7,447,551. Now we're looking to ban these. That's a bonding anticipation note for 1 year, and the rate that we're looking at is looking to be at 0.4%, less than 0.5%. So we think this is going to be a great deal, and that we should take advantage of such a thing and pass this. Again, these are all projects that are approved in the 2021 adopted budget. And so this is just giving us the ability to go out and borrow the money and fund these projects.
well, it's a good job getting such a low rate. Thankfully, they're still low. Are there any?
That's why I want to take advantage of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any questions for Mr. Ferrari?
Mr. Palomini?
Go ahead.
So I had actually some discussions with Mr. Ferrari today, and there were several items that I wanted additional information on, and he told me that because in particular, we seemed like we bought some of these items a couple of years ago, and I wanted to know what we purchased, and what versus what we're purchasing now, and it had to do specifically with I think it was body cameras and tasers. And additionally, we were going to change the firing range at the police department, but that cost went up extensively. And so I wanted more information about that. So at this point in time, I would really like to see the additional information that he said he would get, but just would not be able to have today in time for this meeting for that review.
Yeah, I understand that, and I will get you that information, but I ask you to just pass this so we can start the process of borrowing this money. And if it comes to the point where you don't want to, you can also always object for them to purchasing later on whatever things you're looking at. But I'd like to keep this process moving because we are dealing with large banks and a lot of investors, and I'm trying to keep this process moving for the city to take advantage of all the of this low discount amount. So I was just wondering if you're going to help us out here to get this done, and then I'll get that information to you, and then like it says, if there's ever a time that you don't agree, you don't have to approve the purchase of that stuff. But
Mr. Palomini.
I like to pass this to keep the process moving.
Mr.
Go ahead,
Thank-
Ms. Zaluski Wasn't.
So, Mr. Ferrari, thank you very much. I completely understand this process needs to keep moving forward. So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward on this with the recommendation that, you get the necessary documentation to Ms. Porterfield.
Is there a second? I will second it.
Mr. Palomini, we didn't even ask anybody else if they have any other comments. Are you just moving this out of committee?
Well, once there was a motion, there was to be considered. If you have something to speak, go ahead.
Wow.
Go ahead, Mr. Mudavern.
There's a motion on the floor, so go ahead and do what you have to do. It's unfortunate.
Mr. Mudavern, I'm giving you the opportunity. I stopped the
No,
motion.
please proceed. Please proceed.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Nay.
It passes
Opposed.
2-1.
Opposed.
2-2, it does not pass. The next item, Mr. Ferrari.
Well-
Yes,
Or Mr. Colden, I mean, I definitely object to this. We really need to keep this process moving forward. We want to jump on that rate. I don't know what the problem is here, but
But let
This
me
is
be
crazy.
clear, bond resolution requires 5 votes. So need to all come together and be able to support this package.
still need 5 votes. So
5
without
votes,
5 votes, it would not pass.
whether it comes out of committee or not, it has to have
okay.
everybody's support.
But we can still vote on it next week is what you're saying.
Well, if it doesn't come out of committee, it
Well,
creates a,
that's what I'm protesting, that it's apparently stalled in committee here.
Well, you can object, but you're not in the committee. And unfortunately, there seems to be some sort of misunderstanding. When there was a motion, I was giving Mr. Mudavern an opportunity to speak. He chose not to do it, so we moved on.
So let me just say this, because I want to be clear. I just want the information. So that's what this is about for me. So if we want to have the information, recess this meeting and discuss this further in the week, I'm certainly open to that. So it's not about trying to stall.
But we're on a time frame where we don't have that time. I have to
Exactly.
pass this by the 12th.
So by today, by next Monday?
Mr.
Yes.
Ferrari, that's what Ms. Porterfield is saying,
Oh,
Mr. I can.
is that we
so,
could
Mr.
recess.
Palomini, I got this. So I'm saying if I can get the information and we can have a special meeting and recess this meeting, have a special meeting so I'm able to review it. That is all I'm asking. I don't think it's unreasonable. We're spending a lot of money. There's been a large increase in cost. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for have that backup. And as I said, I'm open to discussing this further and then we can move forward. So I'm not trying to stall it or hold it back. I just want to have some clarity. Because you did assure me that the reason we're purchasing is because of, it takes this long to buy it, et cetera, and so on. I'm simply asking to see the information, to see that backup. That's what I would like to see.
okay.
And it's up, of course, to the finance chair as to whether or not, and to the council president as to whether or not they're open to having a special meeting. That's not my call, but it is my offer.
I am fine with a special meeting, and I will ask the committee what their feelings are. Mr. Mudavern, would you be okay with a recess and a special meeting?
I don't have an objection for a special meeting, but I will have to check my work calendar and get back to that.
That's reasonable. Ms.
well, are
Porterfield,
you calling for a special meeting or are you going to reconvene this meeting?
I think,
You're correct, Mayor.
I will reconvene this meeting. I will recess this at the end, see what everybody's availability is. So hopefully we can get some time where everybody's available and try to move this forward. Ms. Porterfield, you, I think, stated your case, but I will let you speak to that.
No, no, that's exactly, and it would be a recess, but I, want to look closely at things that we're purchasing. And there's a number of things.
Oops, sorry. Ms. Zaluski Balzunas?
I'm okay with a recess.
All right, so then we will move on to the next item and we will recess at the end of this committee. Mr. Ferrari?
Okay, now we're moving to a budget reallocation. This is what we're asking for here is that last year, as you remember, we did not borrow any money, especially for the smart city projects that we have going on. Right now, we're looking at to encumber a project for the fiber installation and to move it up and to get all our zones A and Bs completed. And to facilitate this order, we need to have a contract and ready to be able to process this contract. As all city projects, I would not go into anything unless that we definitely have money to back it up. We have $2,091,000 available at Smart Cities monies. And of course, if, we have to borrow the additional 20 million, the additional 2 million coming up, and we won't get that money till the middle of May. What I'm asking so we can you get into this contract is to appropriate fund balance of 816,000 because that's what we need to the contract needs is 2.8 million temporarily until we borrow the funds from the 2021 bond ordinance, which we required, where we requested $2 million. And once we receive those monies, I'll take that 816,000 and put it back into our reserves.
Are there any questions for Mr. Ferrari?
Yes, I do have a question, Ms. Flamini.
Go ahead.
Mr. Ferrari, so currently we have roughly just under $1.2 million in
reserves,
capital reserve as of December last year.
Correct.
So you're going to remove 816,000, and that will leave us with a balance of 347,000.
Correct.
When you borrow this money, the $7.4 million, are you going to replenish this account?
That's what we're going to do. That's exactly what it says in our background information, and that's exactly what it was read in the resolution. Once we get that $2 million, we're going to take 860,000 and put it back into the reserves.
Are there any other questions?
Not a question, but I just want to, again, I had other questions about this for Mr. Ferrari. So thank you for taking the time to, because some of the documents we got appeared as though there was money in that we really didn't approve. So I appreciate you taking the time to spend to discuss this. And it makes sense. So hopefully we can move forward. So I just want to thank you for doing that.
You're very welcome.
And also to Mr. Mudavaren for being on the call as well, to making sure we had all our documents clear.
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys for, listening to me, and together we really got down to the brass tacks of it and it worked out well.
All right.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is the award, the bid and contract for Smart City Zone A and B fiber optic with Mr. Cluccio.
Thank you, Mr. Palomeni. So yes, before you is legislation to approve the award of a contract to continue our smart city deployment into Zone A and B as part of our long-term plan to provide high-speed connectivity, public Wi-Fi, and interconnect city facilities over a fiber optic platform. So we did put this out to bid, and unfortunately, we only received one bid. This bid is from Shups Line Construction of Altamont, New York, in an amount of $2.1 $2,807,579. We have worked with them before. They're a very good contractor. We did have other people pull the plans, a great deal of them, but it is a pretty large project with specialized areas. So I think that's one of the reasons why we did not receive additional bids. So I'm asking you to approve legislation to award the contract.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Please proceed.
So, Mr. Coluccio, you said we've used this bidder before. Is this the only bidder that we've used throughout the Smart Cities project?
For fiber optic installation, yes, but certainly we've had a number of different vendors providing us equipment and materials and assistance throughout the project. But yes, for fiber optics, they have been the only contractor.
And how long have they been with us?
I don't know what you mean by with us.
How long have they been working for the city?
They
On this, yeah.
On this project, they did a smaller piece of it that the council approved last year to do a proof of concept where we connected Fire Station 1 to Fire Station 3 in Mount Pleasant. So that's the only other piece that they've worked on so far.
Okay, so I did take the time to make some phone calls and to get some clarity on the fiber optics and all of that. So based on, those conversations with people who are in the business, I'm comfortable with this. And I did see that this particular company has been in business for 41 years.
Yeah, I've worked with them on different state projects for probably 25 years ago so far. So yeah, they've been around a while, and I'm certainly not concerned that they're going to leave us in a lurch.
Okay, that's important.
Absolutely. And as you know, in fact, the mayor sent you some backup with the amount of usage that we've had on our public Wi-Fi so far. I mean, we're over the last year, almost over 3 million website hits using the public Wi-Fi. So it's really a welcome service that we're providing for the residents of the city. And, I'm happy that you're interested in expanding it further. Thank you.
Well, I also, if I may comment further, I was glad to see the map and to see that some of the neighborhoods that we had talked about that were most in need of this are being included in this particular plan. I think that's important. So I'm glad to see that we're expanding it beyond downtown.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. Palomeni?
Go ahead.
Well, I think, I especially am pleased about this because last year, I believe several members of the council wouldn't vote for this in those neighborhoods. And unfortunately, after that, we hit the pandemic, and had we known, we might have been able to expand that the fiber optic in a time when it was especially needed, especially in those neighborhoods. So I know I'm not on this committee, but I do want to say I'm glad that we're doing it this year.
Anything further? All right, can I have a motion? Unless there's.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
Good job,
you.
good job.
All right, last is to authorize the Commissioner of Finance to increase the deposit of the 2020 consolidated, CHIPS Extreme Weather Recovery and Pave New York funding. Guess this might be either Mr. Ferrari or Mr. Colden.
I'm taking this one.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Palomini. This is good news. New York State budgeting, previously they had told us that they were going to have a 20% reduction on our CHIPS grant. And it turns out that with the final review, that they're only going to reduce us by 5%. So that's an increase of $241,951.93 for our CHIPS program, which of course, as you all know, we use most all for our street paving or whatever. So what we're asking you to do is to agree that, you know, we can increase our budgets by $241,951.93.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Mr. Ferrari, with regards to this 20% reducing it to 5% now from the state, does that apply across the board for all funding, state funding, or
Not-
for just CHIP?
Well, this is the only one that we received that's definitely for just chips. We're hoping as they're getting ready to pass the 2021 budget, the New York State will have a better idea of that. Hopefully, we're going to get a no reduction on our aims and stuff like that. But definitely for the chips, that went through at 5%.
Anything further? All right, can I have a motion? Did somebody say something?
I'll move it.
I'll
Thank you.
second it.
All in
Thank you.
favor? Aye.
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 I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 So I'd like to open city development and planning with an objection. According to President Mudavaren, he has removed me from the chair of this committee and placed Ms. Porterfield on this committee, which according to Corporation Council has the authority to do so. But I want the minutes to reflect that I am objecting to being removed from this position.
All right.
I'd like to also make an objection. I know that Corporation Council has said that the council president could replace Ms. Zaluski-Waldzunas as chair. As the only other member that has been on this committee, I need to speak in favor of Ms. Zaluski-Waldzunas remaining as chair. She's the only one on council that has this professional expertise. Under her leadership for the last year that I've been on council, we've already added at least $1 million in properties due to the work that she has done with our city staff. And I find it completely objectionable that Mr. Mudavaren has decided for some reason that he would remove Ms. Zaluski-Waldzunas from this leadership role, along with the fact that he did what he did with finance, which is her other professional expertise. I just am dumbfounded by what I consider to be irresponsible and really destructive moves by Mr. Mudavaren, and question both. So I just want the minutes to reflect my objection as well.
I'd like to open city development planning, call it to order. And we have 12 items on the agenda. It appears that the first 4 items, Mr. Colden, can be in open session.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. The first item on the agenda is to authorize the amendment of a revocable permit number 648 to Jack Kowalski for a sign that will overhang the city's right-of-way at 185 J Street. So I guess, Mr. Colden, that'll be you?
Put the engineering hat back on there. Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Porterfield. That's correct, Ms. Porterfield. So what's before the committee tonight is a legislative request to authorize an amendment of a revocable permit. Previously, the city council back in January 2020, and then actually it was passed by resolution in February of 2020. The council authorized a revocable permit for Square One Cafe, which is on the J Street Walkway, or was on the J Street Walkway. The owner of that establishment is renaming and rebranding the business there. So it is now seeking a new revocable permit, or an amended revocable permit, I should say, for that new entity. The city council should have, or the committee should have received in its materials, a photo of what, or a picture of what that sign will look like. So that's what is before the council tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Our second item on the agenda is to author the issuance of a revocable permit number 658 to 318 Broadway for a sign that will overhang the city's right-of-way at 318 Broadway. Mr. Colden.
Thank you, Ms. Porterfield. As you mentioned, Ms. Porterfield, what's before the committee tonight is a legislative request to authorize the issuance of a revocable permit at 318 Broadway for a sign that will overhang the city's right-of-way. In the materials, there is a depiction of where that will be. It's at the corner of Clinton and Broadway. The applicant here is AJ Signs. There is a photo of where it will be. It's going to be where Upstate Dermatology is located at 318 Broadway. So happy again to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Are there any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Colden.
Thank you.
All right, the third item on the agenda is a resolution in support of Assembly in Santa Barbara and Slick. And I'd just like to say that I did not see any backup material on this at all, so I'm not sure what we would even be voting on. So, Ms. Lucy Wazunis, you've asked for this be on the agenda.
I actually asked to have this pulled from the agenda because I needed to get some additional information from the county in reference to waiving interest and penalties. So I had asked to have this removed from the agenda.
Okay, did you want to bring that back in? I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
I would like to have it removed, and I would like to ask Mr. Mudavaren publicly why he has removed me from the Finance Committee and why I've been removed as Chair of Planning and Development. I'd like to get that done before we go into executive session.
So let me just, let's finish item 3 on this, this particular item on the agenda. Are you asking to bring it back in 2 weeks?
No, I am not. I'm asking that I will follow up with the county. I don't know if the county is going to do this. I will let you know if I want to bring it back in 2 weeks. I
Okay,
need to
thank you.
confer with the county.
All right, thank you. So in terms of the discussion the question that you've asked Mr. Mudavaren, I don't know, Mr. Colden, if that's something we discussed here, and I recall the mayor once saying that things that were not on the agenda could not be discussed because I wanted to bring something up before. So, Mr. Colden.
Obviously, Mr. Mudavaren is not a member of this committee. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So, I mean, the question can certainly be posed. There's no need for discussion if Mr. Mudavaren's not on the committee.
Okay.
The council could suspend the rules and clear the air on some of the changes. There may be a reason behind it that would make sense to everybody. I'm not privy to those inner discussions that have occurred. Might give Mr. Mudavaren a chance to just articulate his thought process.
Right. Mr. Mudavaren.
I did receive a memo this afternoon from Mr. Colden. I responded back to Mr. Colden. I intend to meet with Mr. Colden and to address those concerns. When that is over, I will respond appropriately back.
Okay, so that's the answer to that question. Item number 4, a discussion, the zoning changes for multiple properties on McClellan and Bradley Street. The public hearing was held on March 22nd, 2021. So we had the public hearing. I don't recall if there, Miss Michael, did anyone come, were there any comments at the public hearing? Ms. Michael?
Not for this item, Ms. Porterfield.
All right, thank you. So I will entertain a motion that we move this.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Mayor.
The only thing I would submit for the council's consideration, I think it's the position of staff, but we may not have articulated it, is that this is a good project. You should go ahead with it, but these lots should be consolidated into one parcel as part of this whole project.
Okay. Mr. Colden, and the work that was done, was that part of, I can't see the actual legislation there. Was that part of the agreement?
I'm sorry, Ms. Porterfield, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Was that part of the agreement that they would consolidate this into one lot?
I'm not positive offhand. I don't have that material before me. I would have to, obviously, I think this was coming out of, was coming out of development, I believe. I don't know if somebody from development can speak to the consolidation part.
I think everyone is, look, I'm looking. Oh, Ms. Dion is still here and Mr. Brown is still here.
Yes, I'm still here. I do believe that was part of their rezone application, but I would have to confirm that. I do think that the mayor is correct that, you know, we would want that to be part of this rezone process.
So we could approve this contingent on making sure that's part of the package that they assigned. Is everyone comfortable with that? Is no one comfortable with that?
Ms. Porterfield?
Ms. Zulus.
So I believe it makes sense. I believe we need to move forward with this, and I would be in support of it.
Okay, can I have a second? Oh, well, I'll second it. Are you?
I seconded it. I just wasn't unmuted, but I did second it.
Okay, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So the remainder of the items on the agenda are for property sales, numbers 5 through 12. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion that we go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. Thank you.
Second.
All right, we're going to go into executive session. Thank you.